So basically, after studying this module, you shall be able to know about the strangulation and suffocation deaths, to understand various causes and classification, learn postmortem findings in cases of strangulation and suffocation deaths, and learn about the medico-legal aspects of these deaths. To introduce you, strangulation is a form of violent asphyxial death which is caused by the constriction of neck by a ligature, hand or any other object without suspension of the body, where the force of the constriction comes from the hand of the assailant or any external object, but not from the body weight of the person. Strangulation that is caused by ligature is called ligature strangulation, while strangulation that is caused by bare hands, that is called as manual strangulation or throttling. The various causes of death in strangulation are usually, as it's the same like hanging, where there is a combined effect of asphyxia and cerebral apoplexy being the commonest cause. Then the occlusion of the carotid arteries are also considered to be the common cause. Then in throttling particularly, sudden groping of the neck by bare hands can stimulate the carotid sinus and may cause death by the vagal inhibition. Now ligature strangulation. This is done by using a ligature material. As the name suggests, the ligature material can be anything varying from rope, flexible rubber tubing, cloths, A-sticks, wooden plank, wire, leather belts, all these. Usually in the ligature strangulation, the mark is transverse and high up in the neck. Grooved can be of several turns or can be a single turn, but usually it is several turns. Then variation of ligature strangulation are Bansdola, mugging and garroting. So we will be touching upon these modified forms of strangulation one by one. In Bansdola, a wooden pole or any elongated rod is placed on the front of the victim's neck and one is placed immediately at the back of the victim's neck. So one end of the rod is fastened together by a rope and the other end is squeezed forcibly through squeezing the neck in between the two rods to death. Mugging, the second form of strangulation, the victim's neck is squeezed in between the bend of the elbow or in between the bend of the knees. Third form is garroting, and this used to be a method of judicial execution in many countries. Here the victim is made to wear a neck collar of metal and death is brought about by slowly tightening the collar. And this was also practiced by robbers who come from behind and suddenly throws a ligature around the neck of the victim and pulls it tight. Sometimes due to the upward pull, the resulting ligature looks like hanging, and this was very popular practice method among the mafias gangs of the USA as a method of execution. Coming on to the autopsy findings in cases of strangulation, the classical non-specific signs of voluntary asphyxial deaths are present. There may be multiple petechial hemorrhages over the face with enlarged conjunctival vessels, the bleeding from ear and nose, and the blood tinged froth coming out from the mouth, as sometimes with nostrils also. The tongue is often protruded and bitten. Typically, the ligature mark which is present is seen as a groove mark around the whole circumference of the neck, all around, maybe multiple turns also. The mark may be depressed due to edema of the tissue above and below it. The mark is horizontal, continuous below the level of thyroid cartilage, in contrast with the ligature mark of hanging which runs oblique, non-continuous and high up in the neck. The skin over the mark is dry and the base is pale looking, and the multiple abrasions surrounding the edges of the ligature mark are present. These abrasions are usually produced by the victim himself as a part of the struggling. The width of the mark will depend upon the width of the ligature material used. The ligature mark may leave a pronounced imprint abrasion, thereby corroborating with the ligature material. The position of the knot is indicated by a wider impression on the neck and is generally the type of knot is binding in nature. The occurrence of narrow zone of abrasion above and below the mark indicates an antemortem strangulation. The important finding. There may be associated scratch abrasions which suggest that the efforts by the victim for relief has been done. However, if we compare with the hanging, the asphyxial components are more pronounced in the strangulation. When we dissect the underlying neck, further it is done in the same manner as in the hanging after removing the brain, so as to ensure a bloodless field for dissection, and the underlying neck muscles are usually seen bruised with engorgement of the neck vessels. The carotid arteries, they often have intimal tears. The fracture of the left or right superior horn of the thyroid cartilage is a very common feature, and with more application of force there may be associated fracture of the cricoid cartilage as well as the tracheal rings. Then to understand the difference between hanging and strangulation, because it is basically the ligature mark which differentiate between a hanging and strangulation, the same can be understood in a tabular manner, just like here. Ligature mark in case of hanging is oblique, incomplete and high on the neck, and strangulation it is transverse, complete, situated at the mid level or the below the thyroid cartilage. Base of the ligature mark is pale, hard and parchment like in hanging, whereas it is contused and pale in case of strangulation. The abrasions, contusions and ecchymosis, they are less prominent in hanging, whereas more prominent in strangulation. Hyad fracture is more common in hanging, less common in strangulation, and all these various signs of asphyxia, they are more marked in the strangulation. The important point is the dribbling of saliva. Dribbling of saliva is a hallmark of hanging, whereas it will be absent in the strangulation. Bleeding from nose, mouth and ears is often present in cases of strangulation, whereas it is rare in hanging. The manner of death, that is the most important. In hanging it is always suicidal unless and until proved otherwise, whereas in case of strangulation it is almost always homicidal unless and until proved otherwise. Coming on to the manual strangulation or throttling, where the bare hands are used to squeeze or compress the neck. The resulting asphyxia is called the manual strangulation or throttling. It is always homicidal, and sudden compression of the neck by bare hands, this may cause compression over the carotid sinus, leading to the vasovagal inhibition and ultimately death. Sometimes even a playful tweak by the partner over the neck may lead to sudden vagal inhibition and death. When we conduct the autopsy, all the classical signs and symptoms of violent asphyxia are present. When you dissect it, bruising of the neck, this will be found, and this occurs from the finger pad of the assailant grasping the neck. The bruises are usually circular, dark red or purple in color, usually 1 to 2 centimeter in size, and if the finger slides over the skin, then elongated marks may also be seen. Scratch abrasions of the neck in and around the finger pad. The bruising also may be seen, which can either of the victim or of the assailant, and may be either linear or curved. On internal examination, the tissue of the neck are markedly contused and bleeding may be there in between the strap muscles of the neck. And in case of excessive force application, the bleeding from the larynx may also occur. And there is associated inward compression type of fracture of the greater horns of the hyoid bone, as the assailant's hand is squeezed in the inward direction over the victim's neck. Coming on to the medico-legal importance of strangulation, as I told you, it is almost always homicidal in manner unless and until proved otherwise. Suicidal strangulation is a very rare, as the anoxia set in by the gradual increase in pressure over the neck. This makes the victim relaxed and finally release of the pressure occurs. So usually it cannot happen by its own hands. Accidental strangulation, though rare, but may occur by sudden entangling of the say women's dupatta in a wheel while going on a two-wheeler or an auto rickshaw, or any such projections which lead to the sudden accidental strangulation. In the neck of dead obese persons or the infants, the neck folds, they may look like a ligature mark of strangulation. So, a thorough meticulous dissection is needed to rule out, to confirm whether it's a strangulation or whether it's a neck fold. Then fracture of hyoid bone is less common at the younger age group, since the bone itself calcifies at the age of 40 to 45 years, and in younger individual it stays in a cartilaginous form. The thyroid horns are more vulnerable to pressure on the neck rather than the hyoid bones. So, there can be two types of hyoid bone fracture, anteroposterior type and the inward type. The anteroposterior type of hyoid bone fracture more commonly occurs in hanging, where the hyoid bone is forced backwards, and due to which the divergence of the greater horns of the hyoid bone is increased. This results in the fracture of the horns anteroposteriorly without displacement of the fracture segment. The periosteum is disrupted on the inner side, and the fragment can be easily moved outwards but with a restricted inner movement. The inward type of hyoid bone fracture, that is seen in the manual strangulation. Here the greater horns of the hyoid are squeezed inward direction each other by the constricting force of the hand, as a result of which the bone gets fractured with inward displacement of the fractured fragment. The periosteum is therefore disrupted on the outer side alone, but the inner movement is restricted. Rarely we may find the avulsion type or traction or tug fracture are also seen. Then coming on to the next category of asphyxial deaths, that is suffocation. So, after that hanging and strangulation, now that is the major group of asphyxial deaths is a suffocation. Suffocation is the asphyxia caused by lack of oxygen in the respired air or due to the mechanical obstruction of air passages by the mechanical means other than the constriction of the neck and drowning. So, as we understood that hanging and strangulation and the other methods which I told you earlier, they are the constriction of the neck and the drowning, which I will deal later. So, other than that, all those remain, they fall under the category of suffocation. So, we can classify for easy understanding like follows. Number one is entrapment, smothering, gagging, choking, burking, overlaying, traumatic asphyxia, environmental asphyxia, postural or positional asphyxia. So, we will take one by one all these. Entrapment is mainly accidental in nature, and it is because of the inadequate oxygen in the environment. The pupil may suddenly get trapped in a confined space like lift or inside a refrigerator in case of a child, where there is a inadequate oxygen in the environment for the person to breathe. The signs and symptoms are usually non-specific of asphyxia. The entrapment, the manner of death is usually accidental, very rarely suicidal and homicidal manner may be there. The next category, that is smothering. This is a form of asphyxia caused by the mechanical obstruction of the external air passages like mouth and nostrils by mechanical means like by hand, plastic bag, cloth, duct tape, etc. When we conduct the autopsy, at the time of autopsy, the autopsy findings will be a central pale area where the mechanical obstruction was given is seen in and around the mouth and nostrils with presence of bluish discoloration and multiple petechial hemorrhages. In cases where the manner is homicidal in nature, then in and around the mouth and also in the inner aspect of the lips, abrasion, scratch abrasions, contusions and lacerations may also be present. There may be fracture of the bridge of the nose due to the undue pressure given along with the bleeding from nose. The lips, the gums, the tongue may be bruised with loosening of the teeth from the socket, and they were associated with the struggle marks over the other part of the body. The medico-legal importance, It is almost always homicidal in nature. Accidental and suicidal cases are very rare, although accidental smothering may be seen in alcoholics, epileptics, intoxicated persons, unconscious persons and children. Next is gagging. This is a form of asphyxia which occurs due to forcing a cloth inside the mouth or closure of the mouth and nostrils by a cloth which is tied around the head to make the person incapable of shouting. The rolled up cloth which is pushed inside the mouth, this is called as a gag. A gag is pushed inside the mouth sufficiently deep to block the pharynx, and this will lead to asphyxia. Initially, the airways are patent enough for respiration, but due to constant foreign body irritation, there is pooling of saliva inside the respiratory passages along with the associated edema of the pharynx, and this finally leads to the complete obstruction and ultimately death of the person. At the time of autopsy, there will be associated signs of asphyxia as well, and sometimes a gag may also be recovered from the oral cavity or from the pharynx. Medical legal importance of gagging is usually it is resorted to prevent the victim from shouting, and usually the idea is not to cause death. The victim's hand may be tied behind the back to prevent the victim from removing the gag. So, if you analyze the whole scenario, the death is usually, the intent is homicidal in nature, and of course the accidental causes are also can be found. The next category is the choking. Choking is a form of asphyxia where there is obstruction of the air passages, usually between the pharynx and the bifurcation of the trachea, somewhere here. The individual develops sore throat, respiratory difficulty, and then suddenly collapses. Mainly it is accidental in nature and occurs due to entrapment of the food bolus, the dentures, the fish bones while feeding milk to the infants, inhalation of blood in case of a facial injury, impacted solid bodies, in an unconscious victim who is lying on the back, or swallowing of the dislodged teeth. So, these are examples of choking. Even an object is smaller than the lumen of the respiratory passage, this can bring about the reflex spasm of the air passages with fatal consequences. The cause of death in choking is asphyxia, laryngeal spasm, vagal inhibition. At the time of autopsy, we see all the usual signs and symptoms of asphyxial death. We can find the choked foreign material usually trapped inside the lumen of the air passage between the pharynx and the bifurcation of the trachea most of the times. It can be anywhere in the internal respiratory passages. Medical legal importance of choking is that it is almost always accidental in nature. Suicidal is rare a possibility, but it can be in cases of a mentally retarded persons. Café coronary is a type of choking death where an apparently healthy but grossly intoxicated person who is having a meal suddenly turns blue, coughs violently, then collapses and dies without much fuss. The death appears to be due to sudden heart attack, hence the name. The word coronary suggests heart, and since the person dies while taking a meal just like sitting in a cafe, so it's a cafe. So the name café coronary came from there. This is because the blood alcohol level anesthetizes the normal gag reflex, thus prevents the victim to cough out the food bolus. So usually in that case an immediate blow on the back of the sternum, this may cause coughing and may expel the food. So if that is not successful, then the foreign body should be removed from the hypopharynx by inserting the middle and index fingers or with the forceps as an emergency measure. At the time of autopsy, we find the foreign body will be seen lodged in the air passage, and if the vomitus is inhaled, then particles may be seen embedded in the trachea and bronchi. It is almost always accidental in nature. The next category is Burking. Burking is a method of violent asphyxia where there is a combination of homicidal smothering and traumatic asphyxia. The method was invented by William Burke and William Hare, who made their living by digging up bodies from the grave and supplying the same to the medical school at Edinburgh for dissection. And they murdered about 16 persons during the year 1927-28 and sold the bodies to Dr. Knox for his anatomy classes at Edinburgh. The victim usually used to be a beggar or any alone person who was invited to their house with promise of food and alcohol, and then when the victim was inebriated by the alcohol, then Burke and Hare, then they used to throw the victim over the ground. The Burke used to kneel or sit over the victim's chest, close the mouth and nostrils with his hands, whereas the Hare used to pull the victim around the room by feet. When they were caught, Hare later turned to be the approver. The next phenomena is the overlaying. Overlaying or compression suffocation results due to compression of the chest, which in turn prevents breathing. Usually this is an accidental phenomena and occurs when the mother or any other person shares bed with an infant. During sleep, the person may roll over the infant accidentally, thus limiting the thoracic movement and reducing or completely preventing the respiratory exchange. The parts which were under the pressure appear to be the pale. The nostrils are often filled with blood, mixed froth, which may stain the garments and the pillow as well, and all the usual findings of asphyxia are seen, and death may occur due to neurogenic cardiac arrest. Another category is traumatic asphyxia. This results from respiratory arrest due to mechanical fixation of the chest by any unyielding substance or object, so that the normal movement of the chest are restricted. Usually traumatic asphyxia is accidental in nature and are seen in building collapse or during the stampede or crushed under the heavy machinery, mining collapse accidents, all these. There is a gross compression of the chest and abdomen by a powerful force, due to which the chest expansion and the diaphragmatic movement are prevented.
Autopsy findings. Typically, intense congestion, confluent hemorrhages, and deep purple colored cyanosis will be seen above the level of the compression. This purple red color is due to the hemorrhages into the tissues around the blood vessels. Below this level, the skin is pale or mildly cyanosed. Areas of pallor seen at the level of the collar of the shirt, folds or creases in the garments, buttons, braces, etc. are another characteristic feature of this traumatic asphyxia. The other non-specific signs of asphyxia will be seen. An underlying fracture of the ribs may be present, the lungs and heart may be lacerated, and there may be associated subpleural hemorrhage. Coming on to the medico-legal importance of traumatic asphyxia, it is almost always accidental in nature. Then the environmental suffocation. It occurs if a person enters into an area where there is gross deficiency of oxygen. For example, in high altitude during mountaineering expeditions, in deep well, underground sewage systems, petrol or diesel tanks, etc. Then let's see the postural or positional asphyxia. The postural or positional asphyxia occurs when an individual positions or rests the body in a certain position in which the breathing is impaired, often because of the twisting of the neck with kinking or compression over the trachea or elevation of the tongue to the posterior hypopharynx. The normal venous return to the heart also is impaired in addition to that. When a person sleeps with upper half of the body in a level lower than the lower half of the body, that is dangling from the bed, especially seen in children, the weight of the abdominal contents press against the diaphragm, thereby compressing the thoracic organs, leading to cardiorespiratory failure and ultimately death. This phenomena is seen in variety of situations, like if a person is physically or mechanically restrained on a stomach in a face down or in prone position, or if a person falls in a pit wedged in between the walls, a child or intoxicated person slides out of the bed with the head dangling from the edge of the bed. In autopsy, only marked congestion and petechiae of the face and neck is seen, and diagnosis is essentially based on the history in which position of the body was recovered and ruling out other causes of death, both natural as well as unnatural. To summarize this topic, the strangulation is a form of violent asphyxial death which is caused by constriction of the neck by a ligature, hand, or any other object without suspension of the body, where the force of the constriction comes from any object other than the person's body weight. The variations of ligature strangulation are Bansdola, mugging, and garroting. The ligature mark is usually seen as a grooved mark around the whole circumference of the neck, maybe multiple turns or in a single turn. When bare hands are used to squeeze or compress the neck, the resulting asphyxia is called manual strangulation or throttling. Suffocation is the asphyxia caused by lack of oxygen in the respired air or due to mechanical obstruction of air passages by mechanical means other than constriction of the neck and drowning. The gagging is usually resorted to prevent the victim from shouting and may be homicidal or accidental in manner. Burking is a method of violent asphyxia where there is a combination of homicidal smothering and traumatic asphyxia. The postural or positional asphyxia occurs when an individual positions or rests the body in a certain position in which the breathing is impaired, often because of the twisting of the neck with kinking or compression over the trachea or elevation of the tongue to the posterior hypopharynx.